Hello everyone, welcome back to my crafting adventure. Today I have an exciting technique to share with you. I'll be embossing on vellum using a foil plate, resulting in a truly unique and elegant card. So let's jump right in. So for my card today, I will be using the Roses hot foil plate from Studio Katia, and I'm going to foil for my background here on this cardstock. It's a black cardstock cut to 4¼ by 5½ inches. I'm going to foil it on the top and the bottom of the card. I'm using silver holographic speckle foil from Spellbinders. Okay, so here I have a setup for the foiling. So how I'm gonna do, let me move this to the side, a little bit. So I'm just gonna place it right there, and then use a little washi tape to tape this in place. Okay, that's where I'm gonna flip it. Add the foil there. Always remember that the pretty side of the foil faces the foil plate. I'm waiting for the light to turn green so I know it's ready to foil. Now it's green. I'm carefully taking it out and running it through my die cutting machine. Okay, I'm back now. And I'm carefully removing the plates, checking how my foiling has turned out. It's a little too hot, so I'm trying not to touch the plate. Yeah, it has foiled beautifully. Can you see this? It's so pretty. I'm also going to foil the other corner just like this. Here, I just finished the other side. Now let me check how it has turned out. I'm just being very careful because the plate is very hot. Here you go. I love how it turned out. It's so beautiful. The speckled foil, it's just so pretty. Now let me put the foil machine aside because I won't be needing it now. Here's my completely foiled background, ready to go on a card. So I had this idea for the focal point. I wanted to emboss with the foil plate on vellum. Let me see how it goes. Okay, so this is the sandwich I use for embossing on vellum. I use a tan mat, then I place the vellum on top, and then the foil plate. And then if I did how you would normally do, if I did this embossing plate on top, it would put too much pressure. So what I did instead was I just added here these scrap papers that I had laying on the side on top of it, and on top of that I put my cutting mat and then ran it through my die cutting machine to emboss the image. Off camera, I have already embossed and die cut this roses on vellum. I use this spring roses die to cut out the vellum. So I'm picking these 4 Distress Oxide ink colors to color my image. I will be coloring this image from behind using a small blending brush. off camera. I've already done one, and I'm going to use this one instead because this one has cracks in the front, and I like how it looks on my card as it adds some interest to it. I also have another flower which I embossed and cut it out with a pair of scissors. I may use it on this card, but I'm just showing how I colored it. So I flipped it at the back and I used the Distress Oxide ink. So I heavily applied it in the middle and I went a little lighter handed as I got to the edges. So the edges are a little lighter and the center is a little dark. I may use it in the center of my card using foam tape here, but I haven't decided on this one yet. Now for the sentiment of this card, I'm using the peony trimming stamp set and the word congratulations. And here I have this black cardstock where I am going to heat emboss the congratulations sentiment with white embossing powder. After I emboss this, I'm going to trim the strip with one of the dies from the peony trimmings die set. This one here is a perfect fit for my sentiment. Now my sentiment is ready. I have this top folding card base that is already cut and scored and is ready to go on a card. I could have just added the foiled panel directly onto my card base, but instead I wanted to die cut it. So I'm using this waffle flower A2 layers die and the second largest die from it to cut it out. I like how it looks more finished when you die cut it rather than just trimming it with the paper trimmers. I ran it through my die cutting machine and here's my background ready. And here this is how it looks. You see the finished edge? Now this panel is a little bit smaller than the A2 card base, so it leaves a white border around the card. So this is how I'm planning to use all these elements on my card. I may skip this flower for now, and I'll use the sentiment on top, like this using foam tape. Okay, now I'm starting to assemble the card. So my white card base is here, and I'm adhering the panel with the glue. Because I use a thinner cardstock to foil, it got warped a little bit, so I'm going to use a lot of glue to secure it very nicely. I really like how the smaller panel leaves a little white border around the card. This gives my card a finished look. There you go. Now I'm going to add my focal image. I had another one that I embossed which didn't have the cracks, but this one has the cracks. And I like how it looks because it gives the focal element a little bit of character. So this one's going to stay here in the middle, and then the sentiment is going to go on top. But I'm going to add this sentiment on the vellum before I add the vellum to the card. I'm just going to trim this foam tape so it fits behind my sentiment. This looks good, and I'm just gonna peel the backing paper off. Okay, now I'm adding this in the center of my vellum flower, just like that. Now I want to add more foam tape behind the vellum flower. As we all know that the vellum is very translucent, And when you add foam tape behind the vellum, it shows from the front and doesn't look nice. So now I'm cutting the thin strip of the foam tape here and carefully adding it just behind where the sentiment is going to cover the foam. You see, it looks nice like that. If I add it somewhere else, it would show from behind and it wouldn't look nice. Okay, now I'm adding this vellum flower in the center of my card, like so. I think this looks perfect. What do you think? Now for the final touches, I want to embellish my card using onyx crystals from Studio Katia and this 3M crystal clear sequin mix from Studio Katia. I'm just pouring these into these containers so it will be easy for me to pick it up and add it to my card. With the help of this jewel picker and liquid glue, I'm adding some sequins randomly on my card.